Dandadan's first episode is incredible. This is how you kickstart a story. You know how I know this show is perfect? There's already people calling it overrated. After one episode.
It's an animation merchant. It's overrated. Guys, I get it's good and all, but it's not as good as Chainsaw Man's first episode. Excuse me, Chainsaw Man's could only dream to be this good.
And I'm like, guys, can't we just have fun? What's that saying? If you ain't got haters, you're not doing something right? This show's doing something right. This is the most visually dynamic show of the year. Its voice acting is sharp as a needle. Like, I genuinely believe these drawings are talking because it's so well coordinated. And this is no hyperbole, no hot take, just pure facts. This is the best opening I've ever seen. My previous GOATs were the Mob Psycho openings and the Nichijou openings. They have been dethroned. I'm sorry, guys. This is a banger. This been stuck in my head all week. I don't even know what a Dandadan is. It doesn't matter. But how did we get here? Why is this single episode causing this much hype? Are we really just sucked into the moment and worked up because of flashy animation like a bunch of monkey brains? Or is this an incredible blueprint for how to kickstart a story? Dandadan, the manga series by Yukinobu Tatsu, released in 2021, just got its first episode, and yeah, this is going to be the best anime of the year. It doesn't take a deep dive to see that Science Saru has an amazingly talented group of filmmakers behind them. Masaaki Yuasa famously worked with the studio to make his best works like Pong the Animation and Devilman Crybaby. Yuasa is a legend in the field, but perhaps we weren't giving enough credit to the studio itself, to the people putting pen to paper. Science Saru, you are not a Yuasa merchant. Dandadan has the same level of energy and bounciness in the characters as his other works, while giving a new, crisp, modern spin on its visual style. When action scenes get more intense, there's a greater emphasis on using bright, neon colors. It reminds me of what Studio Trigger would do for Kill la Kill or Premiere. The calmer scenes absorb the light blue tint of the sky, but as they get more intense, the rooms turn dark and eventually turn bright like disco fields. It's such an appealing color scheme that screams the new wave of anime we've gotten since the ending of shows like Naruto. There's a new wave of action anime, and this show is surfing on it. But what about its writing? Dandadan's writing actively strives to go against your expectations. Let me explain. Dandadan is aware of what it is. It's an action anime with a bunch of teenagers fighting monsters, with a nerd as its protagonist and his love interest being in the first episode. Tatsu understands, yeah, if I'm being lazy about my writing, this concept could end up looking the same as plenty of other stories. Like, we're dangerously close to being cliche. And that's why I was cheering in my seat that Momo wasn't just a boring prize for Okarun to win, but my favorite character in the show. That the jokes aren't afraid to be different, and thus actually funny. Like how Okarun doesn't even run away from the ghost granny until she says, "Give me your banana." It is crazy raunchy, but not necessarily in a disrespectful way, like, I don't know, like a Fire Force where they just shove it in your face. It's actually set up to be a punchline. There's structure to its humor as opposed to just flying tits in your face. A side note, it's really funny hearing the voice actors of other anime in this, especially because they're given the weirdest, batshit crazy things to say. Tanjiro is Okarun. I'm pretty sure Luffy plays the grandma, which was really funny to witness. I keep forgetting that Luffy is voiced by a woman. Point is, voice acting is all about directing. As is any acting, really. It boggles my mind that people will blame actors and actresses for a bad performance, even harassing kid actors for a movie role, but not realizing directing the acting is half the battle. Characters are rarely standing still at all, let alone when they're talking. which means they have to put twice the amount of effort into directing it, into syncing the lips because they can't just overlay the face layer with pre-rendered drawings of the lips. Like most anime, the voice acting is recorded first so that they can put the audio in the timeline and draw over it. Except here, the animators aren't afraid to stretch the characters' faces, make their teeth jagged when they're angry, make their eyes glow. The animators aren't afraid of animation. They're embracing the medium. There's even differences between the manga and anime that I love. In the anime, when Momo has her heart skip a beat when hearing Ken Takaraku's name, the UFO behind her explodes, and her hair flies in the background as the colors go across the screen as it zooms in on her face. This isn't in the manga, but it's the perfect way to end the episode. There's clearly an awareness of a difference in manga and anime pacing, and this little detail shows the right changes between the two mediums. Now, I saw a lot of people, like I said earlier, contrasting this with something like Chainsaw Man, which a lot of people wanted to be animated more in this style. I remember the director of Chainsaw Man said in an interview that his perspective was to make it more grounded to reality, and a lot of people didn't like that. And as I understand it, Tatsu and Fujimoto, the authors of the two series, used to work together, and he was influenced by Fujimoto. So some might say one or the other has a superior style, but I disagree. I think the two shows have very different themes, and I can appreciate their stylistic differences. The grittiness of Chainsaw Man's everyday frames make the monsters seem so much more threatening and imposing compared to the normal-looking humans. In Dandadan, that element's not present. I'll be honest, I was never afraid for the characters. I was more like, oh boy, I wonder how they're gonna get out of this wacky situation. And that's fine. It works as a plot structure because the real arc of this episode was Momo, her story. Okay, so I've been ignoring what the actual story is this whole time. Her narrative is that of regretting the past. I mean, it's the first thing that's introduced about her. She's breaking up with her ex-boyfriend. Indecisiveness, being too emotional, trying to distance herself from the people around her. All themes that are tackled at the beginning of the episode and that are directly contrasted by her relation with her grandmother and eventually with Okarun. That's the difference between a boring couple and one that I genuinely think has actual chemistry, which is actually addressing the character conflict within themselves by clashing personalities and fleshing out dialogue scenes. Not, oh, ha, I love her because she saved me. Sure, that's the hook. Momo stands up against a bunch of bullies for him, but there's so much more to their chemistry than one interaction or quirk. The dialogue is so fun to listen to, and that's why this episode doesn't have any down or uninteresting moments, because everything ties back to Momo. That is how you write a first episode. So yeah, this has the whole community's attention right now, and it deserves it. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to people trying to downplay a great show's enjoyability. This is a jaw-dropping piece of art. Well, that's all I got for today. Please subscribe. Would love you for it, and bye!